So you have a challenge to coordinate between a team member. Maybe an API is not ready yet, and now you are the application team, the front-end team, and you want to simulate the back-end APIs in order to be able to progress in your testing and your development of a front-end application. So here we did an example of an app ATM interface. And in this example, the ATM is ready, but it can also not be ready. And then what we will show how you can advance in your functional and performance testing and so on of the front end with the backend that is stimulated, and maybe the backend is not ready yet. So you define the contract, but the backend is not ready yet. And what we see here, this is WireMock Cloud, and in WireMock Cloud specifically, we created like an example of few stubs. Basically, the simulation or mock is the endpoint that you are mocking. You have an endpoint that you call to, and then you have different stubs that represent different use cases of the endpoint. Okay, so here we have a debit, which will say, okay, I want to debit from the account, and we have credit, both are post messages because there is no like response here in that sense. And here we have a get balance for account, and you will see that basically every stub in WireMock has a request that is saying how, from all the different calls that will be called to the system, why would you match on that? Okay, and we see that the match will be like if you have account/account ID. Okay, and you can call with any account ID, which is the dynamic match. We have the state that enable you to keep state. And here we see that we keep the balance of the account. Okay, so the balance of the account will be like a key value store that we can hold the values. And the response is generating dynamic response that is taking the account ID and the balance and creating it from that. And what we'll see here, we have the main account. We can also add a new account, okay? And let's say this is Viesh, and we want to give Viesh like a lot of money, okay? So we will credit it. And basically what we see is that we credited the account and we updated the amount. And we can now say, okay, let's debit it. And what is happening here in this process is that every time that we are doing this call, it's actually going to WireMock Cloud. And again, imagine that the backend doesn't exist yet. So now you can do your entire testing. We can go to the request log and see that the entire calls are actually being called to WireMock Cloud. And we can also do something Divyesh mentioned, like negative testing, so you can change to false, or you can add the delay, okay? And let's say we are already in 10 seconds delay to get the value, and we will see that what will happen here, you know what, maybe I'll do it like 5 seconds, so it will be faster, or 4 seconds, okay? So we'll not wait a lot, but what we are seeing here, that basically we see that the app is actually not behaving correctly, because you see what happened, it didn't wait to the response, and now we change it only after a few seconds. So we can identify problems and fix them much easier in the testing process. So this is an example how you are doing something that simulates real world scenarios. That is very important in the financial space, and we see it quite often.